With it now being international break and the transfer window officially being closed, all of Arsenal's business officially done and dusted for this transfer window. In this video, I wanted to step back and assess the transfer window we've just had, every outgoing, every incoming, and give the transfer window we've had a score out of 10. So that's what we'll be doing today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, in terms of smaller outgoings, we had Cedric Suarez leave on a free. I mean, that just had to be done. He was never getting game time. We let Karl-Heinz go on a loan to Real Valladolid, a team in La Liga, which will now allow Karl-Heinz to get La Liga experience, even though he did just let 7 past him against Barcelona. But I think at 22 years old, an Estonian international, him getting some La Liga experience as a first choice goalkeeper, I think they'll do nothing but good for him. Really good loan from Arsenal. Mohamed Al-Neni left on a free transfer. Arthur Okonkwo left on a free transfer, all of which I'm perfectly fine with. Now on to the first permanent sales we kind of made in the transfer window. Was Nuno Tavares going on a loan deal to Lazio, and then Albert Sambi Lokonga going on a loan deal to Sevilla. Both loan deals have an obligation to buy, which I'm not extremely happy with. My thought process is that you should have just sold them straight up, but maybe you could have got a better deal by doing a loan with an obligation to buy. So it's not the end of the world. I'll take that. 7 million euros for Nuno Tavares, and then I believe it was 10 million euros for Albert Sambi Lokonga. Really could have got more, especially for Lokonga, but I mean, I'll take it. It is what it is. We've got them both of our books. They're 24 years old. They weren't going to be getting that much better for us. We then saw Fabio Vieira leave on a loan deal to Porto. This was kind of curious to me because I thought Fabio Vieira, especially after the sale of Smith Rowe, which we'll get to, I thought that Fabio Vieira would now be basically the backup for Martin Odegaard. Fabio Vieira played basically all the games in pre-season in America. He showed that he could play obviously as an attacking midfielder, but one thing Fabio Vieira also showed that he could play as a right winger, and while Arsenal were very light in the right wing position. So I thought Fabio Vieira would be kept in the team, he'd be used as kind of a utility man and would be good to go. But the moment he got loaned out to Porto, there's no obligation to buy, there's no option to buy, no loan fees, it's just a straight loan to FC Porto, the place we bought him from. I was a little bit curious as to why that would make sense, especially after the sale of Smith Rowe. But I kind of like the move because it's going to allow Fabio Vieira constant game time. But one thing it's going to do that I like a lot is it's going to allow Ethan Nwaneri a straight path into the first team. Ethan Nwaneri, like Fabio Vieira, can play on the right hand side, but he's probably mainly a number 10. But I love this move because it's going to allow Fabio Vieira game time. So him going on loan to Porto, maybe he does well at Porto and we can officially sell him. Now the 3 permanent sales we made was Eddie Nketiah, Aaron Ramsdale, and Emile Smith Rowe. Let's start off with Emile Smith Rowe, the one that hurt the most. Of course, I love Emile Smith Rowe. Again, he was my favorite Arsenal player for a long time, but it was a deal that just had to be made. Selling him for £32 million. He's 24 years old. He's coming off 2 seasons where he barely ever played for us. He has 2 years left on his deal only. It was a deal that we just had to make. He wasn't going to be playing a lot for us. I made a video before the transfer window saying that, well, this is a transfer window we either had to sell Smith Rowe or extend his contract and let him play a ton of game time, which the latter was never really going to be happening. So selling Smith Rowe to Fulham, especially to Fulham, I like it. I think it's a good move. £32 million, and we can still watch Emile Smith Rowe dominate the Premier League. I mean, he's already scored for Fulham. I'm very happy with this move. It's a move that Arsenal had to be made, and I thought we did the best we could to get the most money we could. The next move was Eddie Nketiah to Crystal Palace. Again, another sale that just had to be made. Nketiah was the 3rd choice striker, if that's even. At times we saw Trossard starting as striker, so maybe he was even the 4th choice striker. He was 25 years old, 2 years left on his deal, and to still get £30 million for him from another London-based team, I think getting £30 million for him just shows how well we did to sit there and wait for the right offer. Got the right offer. We rejected Marseille, we rejected Nottingham Forest because they weren't offering the amount we wanted. The moment Crystal Palace came in and offered the amounts we wanted, well, we made the sale, and again, I think that was beautiful business by Arsenal. Selling Aaron Ramsdale was a given. It was a must. We just had to do it. Yes, we made a loss overall because we bought him for, I think it was £35 million. We've now sold him for £25 million, so it's £10 million loss. I get it. But we did get 3 years out of him. 2 of those years were really, really good. He is our starter. But David Raya is just better than Aaron Ramsdale, and having Aaron Ramsdale sit on the bench, a £25 million player who's not going to be playing for you throughout the season, well, then there was no point, and we just kind of had to make the move. Unfortunately, not many clubs came in for Aaron Ramsdale. Apparently, we wanted £50 million in the beginning of the transfer window. Not many clubs came in for him, and we kind of had to make a sale. So £25 million to sell Aaron Ramsdale. It's not amazing, but I still think it's pretty good business overall. And then on deadline day, we still loaned out Reiss Nelson to Fulham. Just a straight loan, no option, no obligation. I don't really know about that because I know you probably want to loan him out. Hopefully he plays really well at Fulham, and then we can go sell him for more. But I think we were still short depth-wise, and I think keeping Reece Nelson would have just been good for the depth. But I do understand he is his own person. He does want to play football, and loaning him out to Fulham, hopefully he can play well there. He can up his value and we can sell him. Look, as far as the outgoings go, I think we did really well. We got rid of the players we needed to. We loaned out some players, and overall we thinned out the squad. We got kind of rid of the deadwood, and we've allowed someone like Carl Hine to go get first team experience at Real Valladolid. I like the outgoings. One thing I would have loved to see in the outgoings was maybe to sell Kieran Tierney, because in case you guys forgot, Kieran Tierney is still on our books at Arsenal. We didn't sell him at all. There were no rumors about selling him. I mean, he's not going to be playing for Arsenal, so I really am curious as to see what the heck we're going to be doing with Kieran Tierney. The transfer window is now closed. He hasn't been sold. It's just was a weird situation, and that's the only real downside I can say, is that we didn't get Kieran Tierney off our books. And now for the players that arrived to Arsenal. Honestly, again, I really like some of these moves. Of course, David Raya, £31 million to make him a permanent player here at Arsenal after his loan from Brentford. That's fine. Of course, he's our starting #1 keeper. Very happy with him. He's had a great start to the season. Very happy with the 28-year-old David Raya. We then spent £45 million on Riccardo Calafiori from Bologna, a 22-year-old Italian defender. He can play left back. He can play left centre back. He could even theoretically play defensive midfield, even though I'd prefer not to see him there. Again, I said it when we signed him. He's not going to be a starter for us. I don't think so. I think our starting left back is going to be Urian Timber. And well, I think Calafiori is kind of going to be used as a utility player, a player that will allow us to rest Timber, and also a player that will allow us to maybe rest Gabriel a lot more, because Gabriel had a ton of minutes last season for Arsenal. And I think Riccardo Calafiori is going to come in. He's going to allow us to kind of be a little more dynamic, rest more players when needed. I really like the transfer for £45 million, not overpay, and Riccardo Calafiori theoretically could only get better from here. So I'm very happy with that transfer. We then went to spend £32 million on Mikel Merino. Again, another transfer I like. I don't see him as a starter. Unfortunately, he has just injured his shoulder and he'll be out for 2 months, which isn't a great start to his time at Arsenal. But I do think outside of that, he will be a good dynamic player for us. A player, like I said when we signed him, that will come in, that will just allow us to maybe rest Declan Rice, allow us to rest Thomas Partey a bit more, and kind of play the Jorginho role where he will come on when needed in certain games. He'll start in games when needed, but most likely he will just be there to just add another body into our midfield and just add yet more dynamism, more depth into our midfield. Really good tackler, really good football IQ. He's 28 years old, so he's experienced. I like the move as well. And then on deadline day, we got Neto on a loan transfer because we refused to pay £25 million for Juan Garcia. Very happy with that. I thought £25 million on Juan Garcia would have been an overpay. And Neto on a loan deal. He's 35 years old. Now he's heavily experienced. He's captain Bournemouth at times. He is cup tied, which will make David Raya play in the Carabao Cup. But I still think bringing in Neto, because it's a straight loan, no option to buy, no obligation. He's 35 years old. He's going to add experience, but he's also going to just be the backup for Arsenal. And the last huge loan transfer we made was Raheem Sterling, the 29-year-old Englishman from Chelsea on a loan transfer. No obligation to buy, no option to buy, and only paying half of his wages. I don't see one downside to this. He can play left wing, he can play right wing, he can play striker. He's adding to a position of need, which is right wing. He's adding strength, he's adding depth, he's adding quality. I don't really see a downside to bringing in Raheem Sterling. Overall, our balance, according to Transfermarkt, is minus 26 million euros from the whole transfer window, a far cry from last season. But like I've been saying, you can't spend tons of money every transfer window, and sometimes you just have to do a transfer window where you kind of just want to balance the books a bit. And well, that's what we did. We let so many players go either on a loan transfer or on a permanent transfer, and we brought in players that are going to help strengthen the squad, add more bulk to the squad, and just add more depth and quality overall, which is very needed if you're going to be competing in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup. It's far from a 10 out of 10 window in my opinion, but I think overall most of these transfers I'm very on board with, and I think overall a fair rating for the transfer window for Arsenal I would say is a 7.5. I think we did well. We got rid of players, we brought in players we needed to, and overall I'm happy with the transfer window we've just had.